I think we're good. I think Deb's standing by. She can call the roll if she needs to, I guess.
Okay.
But
all right. So I guess I'll start with the script and we'll go from there.
all right.
We can go ahead and do roll first. I'll unmute Deb. There you are, Deb.
Hey, you guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. All right, great. All right, roll call. Amber Burgess.
Here.
Dr. Campos.
Here.
Dr. Reddy. Dr. Bogart.
Yep. You have to unmute yourself.
Dr. B. You're good, Dr. B.
Here. Abby Cox.
Present.
Corporal Larry Moore.
Here.
Ronan Autry.
I'm here.
Jenny Pell. Okay. And is Jennifer from Pause? No. Okay.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
You are unmuted, Dr. Campos, and ready to go.
Okay. Hello, I am Dr. Carlos Campos, President of the Pasco County Animal Service Advisory Committee. I would like to start the meeting by requesting all attendees mute your microphones at this time and until a time when you're ready to present, speak, and or vote on an item. Pursuant to resolution number 20-118, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners adopting rules and procedures for Pasco County public meetings conducted through communications media technology and the governor's executive orders and other authority referred in the CMT's resolution, the public meeting of the Pasco County Animal Service Advisory Committee previously scheduled to be held on May 13, 2020 at the West Pasco Governance Center is now to be held through communications media technology. The purpose of this meeting is to conduct business on the agenda of the Pasco County Animal Service Advisory Committee. Do I go on to the public comment right now, or do we follow the agenda?
I believe it'd be public comment first. We can get that out of the way.
Sure. Now is the time for public comment. Citizens are given an opportunity to comment on any proposition coming before the committee during public comment. The committee also takes public comment on items to be placed on a future committee agenda or under their purview. Due to COVID-19 restrictions and the safety of our citizens, today's public comment would be handled differently than a normal Animal Service Advisory Committee meeting. First, we will take public comment from callers that have pre-registered and are currently on the queue. After all phone call public comment is heard, the committee will then take public comment from any document submitted prior to the date of the meeting. Each citizen is awarded 3 minutes to present their public comment. It is requested that when you address the committee, comments are not directed personally against individual member of the committee, but rather directed at the issue. This ensures mutual respect for the committee members and members of the public. For those making public comments on the phone, after the caller states their name and address for the record, a timer will begin and the citizen will have 3 minutes to complete their comment. If your comments exceed 3 minutes, you will be instructed to stop speaking at that time. Calls will be disconnected after the 3-minute mark. The advisory committee will now hear public comment.
So public comment, pre-registration needed to be submitted by yesterday at 5 p.m. either with the Customer Service Department of Pasco County or with the administrative offices through the online form at Pasco County. We confirmed with both of those agencies there were no pre-registered public comments. So unless there's anybody else on the phone that would like to make a public comment at this time, it's up to you, Dr. Campos. We could probably move forward.
Okay, with no public comments, we'll go ahead and continue with the agenda. To begin, I guess we'd already did the committee members, so we've been calling this meeting to order at 7:29 p.m. All right, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have the reading of the minutes, please?
I have a motion to approve the minutes as sent to us.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
By roll call vote. Abby, aye.
Okay, motion carries. Minutes approved as sent. All right, we're going now into old business. We have the online licensing program updates.
Okay, I'll share with everybody just on how the licensing program's going. It's actually done very well. We have probably license sold nearly every day, 7 days a week since it's been initiated. So that's a big help to us, especially right now with, we had a lot of businesses closed. We had a lot of, clinics shut down for a little while. There wasn't access. People weren't coming in. But as far as those sales go, it's picked up. So that's a good thing for us. And we're still exploring some other avenues with the on license now that we have it. We're looking at other ways for people to be able to upload stuff or purchase their licensing in different ways, including an app, which they're kind of talking about right now with IT to try to develop an app that's easier to use, even at the clinics and things. So that'll help the public and the clinics who sell the licenses to process them quicker. So I think that's it. If there's any questions, I can answer those.
Nope.
Okay. So the next item of old business then was the proposed ordinance amendment. So I'll go ahead and take that and begin talking about it. So we've been working on the ordinance that would basically amend our definitions section, of course, to the ordinance, but also section 14108 was our primary focus. Now, I know that as the committee, we were talking about, altering some membership things. There were a few other things that we were looking at as an organization to change. We wanted to add the ability to spay neuter personal pets, as far as things like whether they were going to be owner surrenders. Not owner surrenders, but returns to owners. We wanted to be able to offer that service as part of their package that they pay when they come to pick up their animals, if that's possible. So we were looking at that. We were looking at a few other ordinance items that we needed to clear up in our ordinance, but because of the magnitude of this one ordinance change, we decided that that's all that we're going to push through at this time. We were also hoping that because of the ability to do WebEx meetings, I'm not sure if they're going to carry it forward in the future, but if that was an opportunity for us to do meetings that way, then we felt like maybe we would get more participation out of all the committee members. Unfortunately, we did have a few people that did call off the last minute. And we still have, I think, about 4 vacancies that we've got to still get folks for. So I want to talk about the ordinance, specifically 14108. So originally, this ordinance was basically only dealt with where you could sell animals, and it was a prohibition on selling at flea markets, at public venues, streets, things like that, and parking lots or places like that. So that ordinance was passed quite a few years ago. So we always had that one on the books. So what we wanted to do this time, because of the growing concern about puppy mills and kitten mills and the importing of those animals into the state to be sold at high volume pet stores, there's probably 50 municipalities now in Florida, in 8 counties at least, that have passed ordinances banning pet stores from selling from those high volume places. And instead, they've restricted any pet store selling animals to basically use an adoption-based business model, which means that those pet stores and stuff would offer their facilities to rescue organizations or shelters, and they would rehome the unwanted pets that the shelters have and things like that for adoption. So most of your large big chain stores, they all have this model already in place anyway. Your Petco's, PetSmarts, other places like that, they're not in the puppy and kitten selling business. They're in the pet supplies and pet services business. And most of them have large foundations that support most nonprofits and shelters already. So for us, we wanted to try to curb that because of the typical business practices that we find in those pet stores. Yes, it's high volume, but where they're getting most of their source animals from, the puppies and kittens, are usually out of state. They're in very commercially bred facilities that we know that many of them. You get the puppy or the kitten, looks great. A few months later, you may start seeing some kind of disorder with the kitten or puppy or problem. Sometimes they're not able to take it back because the time period has passed or something. But we do have a state law that protects most of those sales within a time limit. So that's one thing that has to be considered in that as well. So our ordinance going forward basically would be to, and I think we sent out the ordinance to most of you when you should have it. But it's basically going to request that any new puppy stores coming into the county, they're going to have to adopt the adoption-based business model, is what it is. And they also, everybody's going to have to put up where the source is from of the puppy or the kitten, where it came from, things like that. Now, what this ordinance doesn't do is it doesn't hamper any, humane rescue organizations from adopting out, or shelters, or even breeders from acting directly with customers to sell their dogs or cats. And we know that, here in Florida, we've got a lot of breeders. Most of them in our county, they have to register with us if they're doing a volume that of 20 animals or more a year. And we have most of them registered with us so that we have inspection rights. We can go in, and then, of course, if any of the consumers do have problems with it, that's usually where they come, is to us to complain, and then we can certainly go out and talk to the breeders themselves. Anyway, that's the ordinance. I hope you have a chance to look it over. If you have any questions about it, I'd be happy to answer any of those.
No,
the time-
any questions?
Okay. So the timeline we're looking at for this ordinance amendment, we want to try to introduce it hopefully on August 4th. It's still in draft form. We're still waiting on the county attorney's office to finish the review on it before we could take it forward. But we're hoping for August 4th as an introduction date. And then we'll advertise it for public comment, which would be taken on probably August 19th. And then, of course, after the board hears public comments, they would vote on it. So that would be the timeline for that. And once voted on, if they voted in, then it would take effect immediately. Now, there's one clause in this is actually a grandfather clause, because we do have one pet store right now that does have a storefront. They sell puppies and kittens out of their store, but the owner of the store is also the breeder of those animals. And he currently has two locations, the storefront where he sells and then his facility where he breeds. And he has to register both with us currently right now, so we're able to inspect him and handle any issues that may come up. So that particular store would be grandfathered in. The thing with the grandfather clause is that it's non-transferable. So if he decides that he's done with the puppy selling business, or just wants to close his store and sell puppies and kittens out of his breeding facility, like many of the breeders do, then that would he can no longer open that again, and if he did, it would be a adoption-based business model only.
Mike,
Any questions? Yes.
is it mandatory that they're rescue animals?
No.
Or is it recommended? I guess.
No, it's just if they're gonna attempt to sell any animals, we're prohibiting that. And when I say animals, I'm talking about dogs and cats.
Okay.
So that means that, just like Petco and PetSmart, they like the idea of the public coming to their store to find animals. They're just not in the puppy selling business or kitten selling business. So they invite the rescues in or the shelters to display their animals. And then what you're doing is you're basically, if you pay them, you're paying the adoption fee that's going right back to the rescue or to the shelter. They don't take any profit in that whatsoever.
Except that one person that's being grandfathered in.
Right, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, Mike, if I understand this, that's the only pet store in the county that sells animals?
That's the only one that we know of. I mean, if there are others out there, they have a business license and they are doing this, then they're going to have to come out. In order to get the grandfather clause, they're going to have to register with us, because those stores will have to register with us, and then we will know and we can go in and inspect them at that point. But as far as we know, that's it.
I think, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the important things here too is focusing on how many other municipalities have passed a similar ordinance like this. I believe it's over 70 municipalities, including recently Hillsborough County, which is why we're starting to see the potential for more puppy mill-led pet stores in Pasco pretty soon.
So this is basically preventative, because now we won't allow that, because Hillsborough did away with it. All those will come to Pasco County if we don't sign. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, there's quite a few other surrounding counties that have. Hillsborough passed theirs originally a few years ago with a grandfather clause, but of course, they had someone that was breeding and selling and stuff that ended up a pretty bad case down there with the neglect and abuse of the animals, the overbreeding, inbreeding, and the typical things that you see in a puppy mill. And they had to go in and seize all the animals. And at that point, their county commissioners basically said no more grandfather clause. So immediately, the folks had, I think, to the end of the year, something to change their models or get out of their business or move their business. And so we did have, one of the pet stores down there made the rounds with the commissioners to basically pitch their idea and their business to the commissioners. But I think the commissioners, for the most part, are looking for this to happen. So we think we'll do well taking it to them. So
Hey, Mike, I just have a question. Does
Yes.
this include the municipalities, or are they like separate from this?
Well, all the municipalities in Pasco County are under our ordinance they've accepted it under contract. So that means they would have to abide by the ordinance once it's passed.
Thank you.
Hey, any other questions? So I'm not sure if the committee has had an actual chance to look through it or not, or if you wanted to vote any approval on this ordinance to move it forward. That in case the commissioners ask or anything, if the committee has seen it or addressed it, or what your thoughts are on it. So.
Hey, Mike, this is Abby. I would vote to approve this. I would make a motion to approve this.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. So Mike, you can, obviously if there's any changes, we would have to vote on it again.
Right.
So if the attorney's office decides to make any significant changes, we can certainly have have an emergency meeting or meeting just to be able to approve this. So but definitely, obviously, approve is written, I guess, is what can carry on. So thank you.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Next is the shelter report.
All right. I'll let Spencer jump in here, talk about a few things with the shelter.
Hey, everyone. So through COVID-19, as many of you have heard, one of the silver lining of it, this terrible tragedy for the world, is the animal welfare industry has seen such tremendous strides with the beginning of everybody being quarantined. Tons of shelters, including Pasco County Animal Services, were able to clear out their facilities. We were down to, at one point, less than 10 animals in the entire building. Through that, being as empty as we were, construction projects that we had discussed with you all before were able to be completed. We completed our dog renovation kennels over in our building C with tremendous success. We completed the moving of our staff break area. We've had repairs done on our storage shed. We've had other small repairs being done. Our veterinary services suite got some new cabinets. We've been able to purchase through funding in FY20, fiscal year 20, new anesthesia machines, which I know the veterinarians on the call will appreciate. So a lot of great renovations with our low population, which has been nice. Through that process as well, we mentioned to you guys in previous meetings, we have been on a journey for the last 18 months with Best Friends Animal Society as part of their service enterprise certification through Points of Light. On June 12th, we did our final walkthrough presentation for Best Friends, and as of this Monday, we actually officially received our service enterprise certification from Best Friends and Points of Light. We are now we are part of the only 5% of nonprofit and government agencies that qualify with volunteers as a service enterprise organization. So we're pretty excited about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Pretty exciting to be a part of that. And we actually, as a part of it, Best Friends was so impressed that as of our certification as a training facility, we are now the only municipal training academy in the country that they are recommending for volunteer engagement training. So that's pretty exciting. We're pretty proud of that. Another thing that we are proud of is through the entire COVID-19 situation, especially the beginning of it, we know that it's ramping back up and there's still more to come. But what we did was, like many shelters around the country, through the recommendation of the National Animal Control Association and also Florida Animal Control Association, we limited our intakes from March through May to essentially only emergency situations. So only animals that were emergent medically or emergent behaviorally as public health risks. What a lot of organizations around the country saw was their no-kill or Save 90 or coordinated sheltering programs saw massive dips in their shelter save rate. If you're only taking in really sick and you're only taking in really aggressive, the theory is you're not going to save as many. Some organizations that we partner with around the country, El Paso Animal Control, City of Minneapolis, other organizations saw massive dips in their save rate from around 90%, some to 50 or 60%. We are proud to say that year to date, we have seen actually an increase in our save rate. To this point last year, we had an 89% save rate. We are right now steady at a 93% save rate for our animals in our shelter, which is absolutely incredible. We're really proud of that. And I'll tell you guys that Mike and I didn't save a single one of those. That's our great team around us, and we're really proud of them. Last but not least, as we hopefully exiting some of the COVID, we have opened back up for business. One of the things that we were able to acquire during COVID-19 restrictions was a new wait while appointment system, and we have implemented that full time at our shelter. We're able to schedule all of our services at the facility, including some with animal control, which is great. Not only limiting the amount of people that come into the shelter to limit the potential risk of spreading of infectious disease, but it also helps us to better maintain the animal flow through the shelter, the people flow through the shelter, and what services we're providing. So we're pretty proud of that. The only service that we're still not providing at the shelter at this time, due to some restrictions in our surgery, is our on-site TNVR support on Sundays. I know some of the veterinary clinics around the community have expressed interest in us opening that back up. But right now, we're unfortunately still having to restrict that. We've said we're going to restrict that through the month of July and then reanalyze that in the month of August. But all other services, including full animal control, are fully operational as of June 1. I'll take any questions about the shelter.
Good job.
Thank you, Abby. Appreciate that.
Really amazing.
We're pretty proud of the team, for sure.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, we'll move on to new business. Anybody in the committee have any new business? Or the shelter?
Well, Dr. Campos, I did want to introduce Brennan Autry. He's the new operations manager, I believe, for SPCA Suncoast. And so he's joining the committee now as their representative. So
Fantastic. Welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me to join in. Thank you very much.
All right. So with there being no new business, next point is setting a date and potential location for the next meeting. Do we have any information as far as if this is going to be a feasibility to have either a strict personal business or a hybrid meeting yet? Has that been decided? Does anybody know?
actually, I think we may be able to have the meeting at the government center in Newport Richey. I think the next one's scheduled for November 18th.
Mm-hmm.
So fingers crossed that, we're kind of open back for business again to do that. But if not, it's maybe a virtual hybrid meeting or something to that effect. But what they're doing with the hybrid meetings for the Board of County Commissioners is that they can all be on the diocese basically, but the public for any comment is going to be at a kiosk, or they're going to continue to call in, things like that. So I believe that's how that's going to work. So I think as far as the committee goes, you could all be there. We would of course, observe social distancing still, and if anybody needs to wear the mask, they would be wearing the masks. But I think as long as we can maintain social distancing, the mask may not be necessary for the meeting. So any public comment, I think again that the virtual rules or the hybrid rules may apply to that as well. So, but we'll try to let you know the closer we get to it. But you can go ahead and probably mark that calendar date of November 18th, and we can go from there.
Fair enough. Wonderful.
Add it to my calendar.
Excellent. So, do I have any motions on the floor?
I have a motion to accept the next meeting. This is Abby Cox as of November 18th, either at the Pasco County Government Center or virtually.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. We will likely meet November 18th. Any other motions from anybody?
I'm just curious. This is
Yes.
Abby. Would it, I don't know what the past has been, but would it be possible to ever move these meetings up to like 6:30, 6:45 rather than 7:15? I don't know what the past has done or if that conflicts with like your schedule, Dr. Campos, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, the reason the time was set to 7:15 was because of the ability, or I guess I should say the inability of some of the board members to be able to travel, since we do have the meetings at the Government Center and or at Animal Services. Some of the board members who had to come from Dade City or sometimes even farther. So feasibility to leave and work and making it in time was difficult.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
So, but it's all dependent on the members that are in the committee. I mean, we haven't never changed it since I've been a member, and it's been a while now. But certainly, if everybody's schedule permits it, and obviously the schedule at Pasco County Animal Services with all their staff that has to make the meetings also permits it. I mean, there's no reason we shouldn't be able to move it to a different time. Again, time allowed, obviously.
Okay, I was just wondering why it was at like 7:15 and not 6:30 or 6:45.
I remember when Dr. Reddy joined the board, I remember him, I know he's not on tonight, but expressing that he was at his clinic until 6:30, I believe. But I don't know if that's still the case. That was over a year and a half ago. So I'm sure we could check with him.
And again, obviously, if we're able to have, if for some reason we're able to have meetings like this where we meet digitally, certainly that could be another feasibility because we wouldn't have to travel in order to make the meeting. So, and obviously, we're trying to encourage more participation. So that certainly could hopefully help, to make it a little more time consistent with some people. So,
And I know with my work, we've kind of moved to a live slash virtual meeting thing. So the people that couldn't make it live could join virtually. I don't know if that, I mean, just things are changing, right? So that might be something we could look at in the future.
yeah, and that unfortunately is set by the county commissioners. We have no say on how our meetings occur. As a matter of fact, that's the reason we ended up having to meet today, because the ordinance that they passed expired as of the 30th of this month. So we would have to meet in person. So
The planning commission for Pasco County is doing dual like that. So, because my husband sits on the planning commission for Pasco County. So they're doing dual like that where they meet live, but the people that can't show up live, the board members are allowed to meet virtual, are allowed to join in virtually. So maybe that's something possible for the future, just to think about.
Yep, certainly. And I would, obviously, Mike, if you can look into that, that's certainly, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that as long as we have quorum. It doesn't matter how we get it as long as we have it. So
yeah, and I think that is where the hybrid comes in. It's like, most folks that can meet physically meet, but those that can't do have the option, I think, of attending the virtual meeting. So we'll see what the details on that is, and we can try to get you some information on it. So.
Okay.
Sounds great.
I think COVID-19 is changing the way everybody does business, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm not sure, but.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Any Any other comment or anything anybody wants to bring up? Okay. Does anybody have a motion to?
This is Abby. I have a motion to adjourn at 7:58 PM.
Do I have a second?
This is Brennan. I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned at 7:59 PM. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate you
everyone.
making the meeting.
Thank
Be
you.
safe.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Be safe.